Introduce yourself,
Awesome.
sir.
All right, so I usually like to work now backwards. Right now, I'm a mentalist and a business consultant that basically teaches people how to negotiate, present more effectively, improve their sales process, be more influential, all that kind of fun stuff. And I do that because businesses have the money. But I got to do that by traveling the world as a mentalist, which is basically a magician that graduated to cooler stuff. Uh, to me, a magician does really cool things like make tigers appear. And when they do that, people go, "How did you do that?" And when a mentalist does something, they run out of the room screaming and ask, "How did you know that?" So that's kind of the difference. I got my start by working with James Randi, who had a $1 million challenge for anybody who claimed to have genuine supernatural powers. So I worked with him to design testing protocol and handle applications for that $1 million challenge. I saw every way that people were trying to scam their way to the $1 million and went, I can do these scams better than they can. And that was kind of my master's course in mentalism. But what primed me for doing that is I grew up doing magic tricks since I was 5 years old. It's really been the thing that's held my interest for almost all of my life, for 30 years now. It's been the context where I've been able to explore my curiosity most fully. Anything I'm interested in, there's a home for it in the world of mentalism. So that's the long story medium, pretty much. But
That is
yeah.
That is so cool. So you always knew that you wanted to be a magician? You didn't go through any phases like being a cop or a fireman? It was always a magician?
It was always a magician. And then in late high school, I started figuring out that the mind reading tricks seemed to freak people out the most and go, "That's cool. Let me figure that out." And then just specialized through college. But in all honesty, it was watching Magician on the Johnny Carson show. That's how long ago it was. On the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, I saw a magician and he had lovely assistants. I was like, wait. If I'm him, I get to work with them. All right, done. That's what I'm doing with my life. And I think about it all the time. Like, that is the worst reason to stick with anything ever. It's like, what decision have you made when you were 5 years old that you put 30 years worth of work into it? It's like, I'm going to eat marshmallows for breakfast every morning. And then 30 years later, you're like, well, I decided when I was 5, I was eating marshmallows for breakfast, so I'm just going to keep doing this. Like, it's insane that I've done that, but I recognize that I am insanely lucky that it was that and it went well.
Yeah. All jokes aside, I think that if you're going to put that that kind of work and time into anything, that would probably be the thing to do. Like, the earlier you start, the better that you're going to be when you're, and the younger that you can be it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right. I didn't know it going up front, but there's kind of a long tail for being a magician. And so think of it like mystery artist is the umbrella term. And then you've got magicians, and then mentalists are kind of separate creatures. Magicians will say, no, mentalists are just doing magic tricks, but the mentalists are like, well, why can't you start a cult? Right? And just like there are magicians and mentalists, there are illusionists, card workers, coin guys. There are all sorts of different divisions that get more and more specific. So I'm one of those creatures that I like to call a mentalist.
Do you guys war with each other? Like, if you see each other in the streets, you sling cards at each other? Like, instead of a drive-by, it's a card buy?
No,
I guess?
it's friendly. But if you want to see that world play out, look up Shakes the Clown. It's got Wild Bobcat Goldthwait as the main character, and he plays a clown. And it's the best depiction of clowning I've ever seen in my life. Like, if you want to know what being a clown is like, watch that movie. And whatever town they're in, there's gang warfare between the clowns and the mimes. So whenever they see each other out on the street, they all gang up on each other and have a huge fight. But the mimes don't ever say anything, and it's hilarious. But they get all beat to hell. It's awesome. I
just want to say this
an amazing movie.
if you want to, if you, I have somebody that can outdo your clown with Bobcat Goldthwait. If you want to see true clowning, tune in tomorrow at 8:00 with my other co-host, Steve. That is the epitome of clown. If you want to see somebody who truly has clowning down to an art, Steve McRae is dead on. Love you, Steve.
I love it. It's an art form. It really is. The Fool is incredible archetype.
Clowns are fucked up. Not doing it.
They are, and they scare me.
They are scary.
They do.
They are scary.
Well, it's just like anything. It's just like anything. There's a pyramid of competence, right? So almost everybody you've ever seen is low competence because there's low barrier to entry. Somebody buys $2 worth of white face paint and they're like, I'm a clown. And you go, that's fucking freaky. You shouldn't be around children. Go fuck yourself, right? It's like you're terrifying. But then as you get better, you're just like, holy crap, that's amazing. Like Steve Martin, he's an incredible clown. That kind of thing. You go, boy, I don't know what, but I just love that guy. That's fantastic. And it's just like with guitar. There's so many assholes that show up at a party and we're like, I'm going to play guitar. And you're just like, no, please don't. Right? But watching somebody play flamenco, you're just like, Jesus, yeah, please play some more. That's phenomenal. So yeah, it's there are very, very few clowns that aren't bad. Is really the takeaway there.
But a lot of clowns.
And they're all
a lot of clowns. Who is that? Who is that clown that did America's Got Talent? That sang.
Oh, Puddles, the pity party.
Yes, Puddles Pity Party. He was brilliant. I mean,
he's done stuff
brilliant.
with what is that called? There's a band that does retro, like jazz interpretations.
I think I know who
jazz covers of a whole bunch of modern songs.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of jukebox something, right? I think it was jukebox something.
Postmodern jukebox. That's what it is.
Yeah, postmodern jukebox. So, do you design your own tricks, or how does that work? I've always wondered: have all the tricks been done, and they're constantly being copied and altered, or like how hard is it to come up with an original magic trick?
Okay. Are you ready to have all joy and happiness and magic ruined for you? Like, I need to have this conversation with you before we go farther. Like, how much of this do you want destroyed? Because I can wreck all of it.
It's
but
an everyday
understand
thing.
that most people go, all right, yeah, I'm ready for it. But then they go through the 5 stages of grief for their sense of wonder. They deny it. They go, no, it can't be like that. And then they bargain. No, it has to be something else. Then they get angry. Like, you think I'm an idiot because that worked. And then they get depressed. You're like, oh, everything's awful. And it's just cardboard and gaff tape? That's really it? And you go, yeah. And then they finally accept it and go, all right, it's cool. Okay. I could go watch another show again. That's neat.
What you just described is literally the first 30 minutes of each show that I do on this program. Every day. So we're good.
I'm saying let the
take us through.
Burn. Tear it down.
So here's every single magic or mind reading trick, whatever, defined. Right? The magician creates a context for the audience to make logical assumptions that are later shown to not be true. That's it. That's every single trick ever.
I'm not sure where the sawing a lady in half falls in on that arc.
You assume that there's no room for her to go anywhere else, so therefore she is being sawed in half.
She is.
And obviously. Then you pull it apart and you go, oh, okay, well, wow, I guess she got sawed in half. That's neat. Any good trick, right? Any trick that doesn't work, you didn't meet those criteria.
So
but any effect that really works is because the magician allows you to believe your perception of what's going on, and you believe the lies that you tell yourself more than anything I could tell you. So what I do is I create a situation where you know for sure what's going on because you're in on something, but that's not accurate. right? So
Right.
it's just like you're not consciously aware of all the assumptions you're making all the time. Because if you were, you would have seizures, right? You're assuming that the desk is going to hold your laptop. You're assuming that the ground is going to hold you as you walk. You're assuming that your clothes aren't just going to disintegrate. Now you've got a lot of previous life experience to draw on that these are reasonable assumptions, right? And
Right.
your brain works on exactly the same amount of electricity as the light bulb in your refrigerator. Like that's it. And
Some of us are a
everything
little
we
bit
do
dimmer.
runs off that much power. Right. And some are really fucking dim. So
Yeah.
our brains have gotten really good at finding shortcuts. In the instant your brain thinks it's found a shortcut, it'll take it. And it won't even pay attention that it's done it because I got other shit to worry about. So you're not even consciously aware of all the assumptions you're making, but the magician has sat down and planned, what can I do to make those assumptions happen? And since it's a non-conscious process, it's incredibly difficult as an audience member to backtrack what happened because you're not even consciously aware of the mental processes that were required to make the magic trick happen in the first place, which is why it's really tough to fool dogs or children or drunk people. Their cognitive faculties aren't online. They're not trusting those logical assumptions. Their logical capacity is diminished, and therefore the potential for magical effect is diminished too. Right? So that's
I
why
don't know.
anytime, what is it?
I was gonna say, I don't know. Like when GE's drunk, you can pretty much fool him with anything.
I was going to say that's the
You
best
can't- you can-
of humanity right there. Children, dogs, and
Right,
drunk
you
people.
can't
Like that is the
people.
glory spot for humanity right there.
Oh, you can,
Right?
you can
can't
confuse them.
You
Okay.
can interrupt their visual systems, right?
Uh-huh.
There are creatures that have visual, like persistence of vision, right? Object persistence. That when something rolls behind something that obscures it, and it continues on, they go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But then when it just disappears and stops, they go, wait,
Object
what?
permanence.
Right,
Yeah.
there you go. That's what I was looking for, object permanence. So you can fool really low-level biological processes. That's why visual magic, like a tiger showing up, you just go, oh, shit, that wasn't there, now it is. Oh, God, that's scary. And you can disappear something for a dog. You can throw the ball and it goes, huh, what? That's a magic trick to the dog, but it's not a sophisticated one. It's not really going to break their reality apart. You can't tell a dog what street it grew up on and have it question everything that's real, right?
Yeah.
So there are layers of mental processes that you can sidejack to create effects, and that's why visual magic appeals to children. They lack the previous life experience to understand why telling somebody what street they grew up on is amazing. They don't know that that's not possible, so fuck you. Like, show me where
Right.
that hanky came
I
from.
want to see the rabbit come out of the hat.
Right. Let me pet the rabbit. My brother can eat an elephant, whatever, right? It's just like, what the hell? They're not logical creatures. So magic is the study and leverage of your logical faculties, which is kind of fun.
We talked a little bit. I think this is an interesting point. We were talking before we came on about some of the guests that we've had, the Jilly Juice and the Turpentine guys, and because these people believe in just absolute crazy stuff. Now, I was going to ask you originally if you ever believed at any point that magic was real, or if this was always something you knew that was done, by man, and you just wanted to be a part of that. Like, did you ever think that there was some kind of, magical side to magic?
I wanted to. Like, I wanted it to be real so badly. Like, yeah, it's that kind of like, okay, so these are the beginner magic books where you cut apart a milk carton and construct some prop, and then the prop does the trick for you. Okay, but eventually I'll get to the good stuff where the real stuff happens. And then you just kind of go, oh, no, I'm it. Imagination is the real magic trick. Oh, okay, that's cool.
You thought it was like Scientology?
I guess. Right, right. Speaking of, well, not speaking of Scientology, but my dad was a minister for the first 20 years